These are gloomy times, so I am thrilled and delighted to congratulate with a new gaming table from Lone War Gaming Industries. There will be a 9th age battle playing itself out on these high elven fields, and these fields are cornering a magical elven forest which moves up towards old heirlooms and obelisks. Now the magical moving forests contain an army of sylvan elves, not happy with the high elven establishment. There may be conflict lurking. The sylvan elves, of course, picked their sides, putting out their magical forests as their vanguard. The highborn elves started deploying first, and then on the third drop in this counterthrust battle with spoils of war as the objective, the highborn elves dropped everything. You can now see sylvan sentinels below the building of high elven architecture, and 22 druids and 13 forest rangers deployed before the high elves dropped everything. Both armies are heavy in artillery and shooting, of course, on the sylvan elf side. So this will be a special strategic gem in front of the Norwegian National Championships, which we are preparing these lists for. Today is the day which we used to baptize the sylvan elf player. He is now called Magnus Nombestemte. He has deployed all his units, the scouts, among the normal troops right here. And now we're going to vanguards. First, the forest rangers vanguard, up against the vulnerable elves in cloaks with only light armor. The high elven spearmen fail their charge against the forest rangers and move 6 forwards. Not a good move, unfortunate for the highborn elves. The highborn elves utilize their first turn to shoot down the 24-man block of elven archers, sylvan elf archers. They fall to the last man. No panics, but the elven archers made a mistake, butting out in front of the rest of the army, which was pretty much in cover. Now, the first turn for the sylvan elves. They're creeping up along the forests. What is their intention? How will they assault the high elf force and the civilization that has raised elvenkind to the utmost level? The tree men charged the high elf spearmen in the first round. They fled, and the forest rangers and the chieftain charged the Queen's Guards, but they have stand and shoot together with the Sea Guards, who did an aiding stand and shoot, so there was only one hero left with 1 wound to fight out the battle. He got Summer's Growth on him, so he was full of life again, and took a draw in the combat, doing 2 wounds to the Master of Cranach Tower, BSB, and losing 1 wound himself. 4 Dragon Princes were shot down, only 1 by the Pathfinders and 3 by the far off Sylvan Sentinels. And here In turn 2, the High Elves are angling up for battle, chaffing with the eagle and taking defense behind the wall with the Northern Sea Guards. The Druids are now holding one of the objectives and can pick it up the next round. Other than that, the Sylvan Elves are left with only one scoring unit because the archers fell. But the High Elves are defensive too. The general on a lion chariot is lurking behind, and in general it looks like the High Elves have the upper hand in the shooting phase. We'll have to find out whether they capitalize on it with lucky die in this shooting round. We'll put you over to waiting music and make a display of the nice scenery. In diesen Hagen. Wow. This shooting round from the Highborn Elves was something else. I mean, it was something else. They didn't do very much. They shot down a couple of 3 Druids with the bolt throwers. But the Queen's guards are in combat and couldn't shoot. The other bolt thrower tried a long shot onto the treeman, but it didn't wound, although it hit on a 5 to hit. The spell that got through was the Highborn Elf Hereditary spell. That was the important one. And flaming swords on the Sea Guards, who are now preparing to take on the Druids. They have a hard battle in front of them, but they're pretty well equipped now, one should say, with the Hereditary spell. And we go to the last combat. The Sylvan Elven Chieftain challenges again, and we're reading on the rules for declining challenges. Can the model which is pointed out when the challenge is declined by the Highborn Elves, can he be hit by attacks? The Sylvan Chieftain actually still lives with 1 wound left. He killed the Master of Cranach Tower, doing 3 wounds, thereby hindering him with 2 wounds remaining from the last round from using the Hereditary spell. So the Master of Cranach Tower dies. And the remaining Queen's guards don't manage to take the last wound off of the Chieftain. So he lives there and he wins the combat. There were many lessons dished out and learned. Maybe unlearned, but definitely learned as well in this combat. The Queen's guards finally killed the Sylvan Elf Chieftain.
They managed to... 1 wound got through from 10 attacks. But then luckily he missed his 5+ armor save. So I just have to say that the Queen's Guard and the 2 characters have stood in combat with this guy for 3 rounds and done a total of... Yeah, you heal 2 wounds, so I've done 5 wounds.
Exactly.
With a 5+ armor save, toughness 3. So I think he's... he deserved to die.
Well, he definitely did.
Yeah. And it looks like the charge paid off in the end, because the eagle joined him, and the eagle did 3 wounds with the stomp. So the Queen's Guard lost combat by 1, and then they fled. They rolled 11 on the panic and ran off the board.
And of course, one aspect of this was that they stood in the water and did not have stayed steadfast the whole time. So they were taking quite a few
but
tests.
they were also in Horde.
And they were in Horde of Cells,
yes.
So that didn't matter.
No.
Now we're moving on to the great battle here. The Northern Sea Guards have flaming swords, and the Sylvan Elf player really played dicey in the magic phase. He tried to get off 3 buffs on the Drides. He managed to get off 2. They're now distracting the Drides, and they are in Forest Embrace boosted.
But the Sea Guards also have distracting from the wall, and they have flaming swords, so +1 to wound, and they have the hereditary.
Exactly. So this will be a battle for the ages.
Yeah, it will probably determine the game, I guess.
Definitely. Let's determine the game.
Yes, let's do that.
There are dice everywhere here. In the central combat, the Drides did 2 wounds of the Pyromancy Master, but it used the hereditary spell to save its last wound. There were only 2 spearmen killed, because another veil token from the hereditary spell saved 2, and 5 Drides died. So the Drides lost the battle. They had the attribute from divination, so a 3-diced, cold-blooded break test succeeded. The Sylvan Elves have shot down a bolt robber and done 3 wounds to the other bolt robber. All the units around them managed their panic tests, but this is getting very intense on the Highborn Elf side. They like to have precision and control during their rounds. Now what can the Highborn Elves do to regain that control?
The Lion Chariot Prince charges the Drides.
Good choice.
And the Knight of Ymar charges the Eagle.
Regaining control. After Highborn Elves round 3, the Drides were defeated. Despite the fact that the Drides had buffs on them and the Highborn Elves didn't get any new buffs on themselves, they won the combat with a charging Lion Chariot General. The Drides should of course have reformed so that the chariot could not have come in, and they were chased down. Now it'll be Sylvan Elf turn 3. The Wildwood Riders were also shot down by the bolt robbers. The Treeman is in range to charge the Northern Sea Guards with an 11 charge. And other than that, it looks like the Sylvan Elves have gained the upper hand with the shooting, though these Sylvan Sentinels are fleeing right now, after seeing the Wildwood Riders shot down. So who knows, this is still open. We're closing the case on this battle for today, and we'll be back later.